I personally think a Thatcher nerf would completely fuck Rainbow Six Siege. Let's get into that, shall we? It truly puzzles me why this topic was ever brought up, especially when we examine something that I would call our prior knowledge. As any good Rainbow Six Siege playing lad knows that Siege is a very defender-sided game, so why would we take away from the attacker that best deals with defensive gadgets? What you can see here is defenders that are most commonly picked in Pro League. Now let's take a look at how many Thatcher deals with. At first glance, this looks ridiculous, and you may actually be for nerfing an operator this strong who can counter so many defenders. However, if we look at the attacker side, who else really does what Thatcher does? No one. No one else does what Thatcher does. Thatcher is solely responsible for keeping the game and the relationship between attackers and defenders as balanced as it has been for the past 4 years. You do not want to change that now. It'll greatly upset that balance and make defenders even more strong. Without Thatcher, it'd be utterly impossible to take care of goo mines, Ela mines, ADSs, mute jammers, lesions, Capcan traps, maestro cams. They're, releasing a new defender with a new gadget, Malusi's thing. How are you going to be able to, disable things like Pulse's heartbeat sensor? There are so many things that Thatcher counters all by himself. And if you remove that, if you cut into his power, all hell will break loose, and it'll be absolutely AIDS to be an attacker in Siege. I'm not sure if I previously clarified this, but Macie Jay was the one who brought up this idea of basically giving Thatcher 5 EMPs with a tiny radius instead of 3 EMPs with a larger radius. His justification to doing so is that it would increase a skill gap with Thatcher players, especially if you allowed players to cook grenades to get them in certain spots that you want them. But basically the idea is to make him harder to use and to, like I said, increase the skill gap between beginning Thatcher players and veteran Thatcher players. But I feel like one of the main perks of having people like Thatcher or even Sledge is that it is something that newer players can kind of stick to in ways that people who maybe don't have the gun skill or anything else can help the team succeed. Because it's really hard to fuck up playing Thatcher, but that's okay, You need ops in your games that can do a lot by doing very little. And it's not a problem like with Lion or Dokui where you press one button and it's some global ability, because the only thing you gain from a Thatcher grenade is the removal of enemy devices, enemy gadgets. Whereas with those, global operators, you're getting intel and a lot of other advantages. Thatcher, you already have to know where a bandit charge is or a mute jammer, or, what you're trying to get rid of. And it's okay that you have something that you just throw down and destroys devices in that area. Having gadgets that are easy to use makes your game more beginner-friendly, and it makes things a lot simpler than it has to be. Siege is already a very complicated game. The solution is not to keep overcomplicating it by changing simple operators into, more advanced people, more advanced gadgets, or, whatever. More advanced, not mechanics, but, intricacies with the gadget. That's unneeded. Completely unneeded. What the discussion really should be about is buffing attackers and increasing their ability to take out gadgets, and even implementing new ops that are similar to Thatcher, who, can deal with all the shit that you have to deal with. I talked about it the last time I did one of these kind of unscripted videos. There's so much stuff you have to deal with. The solution is to give the attackers more utility. I am pro buffing attackers. You may ask, why not nerf defenders? And to that I say, it's super fun to play on the defender side. There's so many things you can do, all the strategies you can pull off, It's fun to have more gadgets to play around with. So why would you decrease that when you can just possibly create the same satisfaction on the attacking side by increasing the amount of gadgets they have. Part of that is just not nerfing Thatcher. It's such a dumb idea. And it wouldn't be a topic to bring up if it wasn't someone as influential as Macie Jay proposing the idea. But I really think he's wrong, and I think he's looking at this from the wrong angle. Because he's making claims that are unimportant and, quite frankly, not true. I find that Thatcher can prove to be very difficult to play. There's a lot of things that go into being a good Thatcher player. I would venture to say Thatcher has a pretty big learning curve when it comes to proper communication with your Thermite player, and how to throw your EMPs correctly and in certain places where they can be most effective. I don't think it's as simple as just throwing it down in front of a wall. It's about timing, communication, and, building up skills in those aspects of your game. And part of a major aspect of Thatcher's game is he's a support player. Most of the time he's going to be droning entries in, and it's nice for Thatcher players to be able to help the team in a multitude of ways because the gadget is so simple. You wouldn't be able to drone for your teammates as effectively as you are right now if you had to use your EMPs in the way that would basically the way you'd have to use it if this change was implemented, because you'd have to spend more time going around the map and using them in even more specific spots, and also it'd take more time, it'd take more communication, and it'd take away from your roles as a droner and as flank watcher and a lot of other things that Thatcher players can do and are doing right now. The main thing with decreasing the radius of EMP grenades is not only does it decrease the effectiveness, I should say, of Thatcher, it puts even more stress on attackers. They're going to have to waste more utility that they are lacking. They're lacking in the utility department already. If you don't have an operator that can clear as large of an area as Thatcher can with 3 EMPs that have like a 24-meter radius or so, or diameter, it's pretty large. It's going to cause more problems, and it's going to cut out even more fun on the attacking side of Rainbow Six Siege. It would once again just have drastically bad effects on the game. There is a way to nerf Thatcher where it wouldn't have this effect on the team and it wouldn't affect other aspects of the game. There's a way to just nerf him. It would not be the worst thing in the world if they changed his kit a little bit. He has 2 of the best assault rifles in the game. He has the L8, 52 or whatever, Sledge's assault rifle, like second highest DPS, it's super good. And then he has the AR-33, which has a crazy fast fire rate. I would take away one of those. He also has access to a shotgun. I would say give him the AR-33, take away the L8, let him have the shotgun, and also give him the SMG-11. I think if you tweaked those in his game, it'll make him a little less able to frag, and it would put him in that hard support role. I wouldn't even give him the SMG-11, but basically just cement him more in that hard support role so that his only major effect is those EMP grenades, which are still large, and it still keeps the game balanced, but he won't be as powerful of an operator if you just cut into his kit just a little bit. Nothing major. But anyway, guys, that's all I pretty much have to say on the topic. Thank you so much for watching. Just to recap, do not nerf Thatcher's ability. Buff the attackers so that they have more utility to get rid of defender shit. And then if people strongly feel that Thatcher needs to be nerfed and Ubisoft decides it, nerf his guns, his kit, don't nerf his gadget. If you nerf his gadget, things are going to be way too defender-sided, and it'll just create a less enjoyable experience for everyone on the attacking side. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one.